So we'll see the concepts of data structure and algorithm. We'll talk about the concrete data structure that can be used to store information. So data structures mean the structures which stores the data or the organization, uh, say a planned organization of data. The basic forms of memory allocation is contiguous. It can be linked. It can be indexed. We'll see about that. And we'll see the prototypical example of arrays and linked list. And the other data structure also, trees, hybrids, and higher dimensional arrays. And we'll be taking them in further detail in next sessions. And we'll discuss the runtime of queries and operation on arrays and linked list. So memory is about, say, if you're talking about a main memory of a computer. So it is a semiconductor memory, right? So this memory, you want to store something, so you can store like this in the sequence, or you can store some here, and some here. You can link them. So the memory allocations can be classified as either contiguous like this, or linked, or indexed. And the prototypical examples of contiguous is arrays. Array stores all the values in contiguous memory, means the memory locations will be one after the another. Okay, in the physical memory we're talking about. And linked allocation, of course, the linked list. One node will be here, it will be having the address of the next one. This one again having the address of this one. So this is how they are linked in linked list. The contiguous means touching or connected throughout in an unbroken sequence. So no breaking is there. Means if this is 1, this will be 2. Just taking an example, memory between hexadecimals. 1, 2, 3. So there will be no 5. Means there has to be a 4 in between. And one more is this touching in actual contact, next in space, meeting at a common boundary, bordering, adjoining. These are all the definitions of memory allocation by 2. These are the resources we have taken. So an array stores n objects in a single contiguous space of memory. Again, array means it is storing n objects. This n is fixed for array. Now we have array list, and vector also has come up as some programming language has given the idea. You can enhance this n as and when required. So if more memory is required, a request to new memory usually requires copying all the information into new memory. That means if you have this array of 3, and if you want to place 4th, where you are going to place, so you have to make another array of 4 values. So in general, you cannot request for the operating system to allocate you the next n memory like this. It may be available, it may not be available. Like this. If it is available, it is okay. If it is not, you have to copy all these and make a new array. Right? And then you can place that next value here. In the linked allocation, linked storage such as linked list, it associates 2 pieces of data with each item. First is, so it has 2 items. First is the object itself, means you can also say data or information, info, and then the reference to the next item, where the next item of this type, same data and or info, along with the pointer to the next one. So this will be pointing to this. In C++, that reference is the address of the next node. This is the address of the next node, like this. How to describe the class that is describing such a node of linked allocation would be, if you want to use a template, say template, any type name type, class will be called as node, and you can have a type element that can be any type. Data type means integer, float, or character also. And this will be a node pointer to next node. So this node is again a type of this class only, that will be pointing to another object or another node which is of the content of this class only. So A, B, and B will point to C, C will point to D, and likewise. And last we will have a null value. So the operation on this node, we can create a new node. First of all, we can access or retrieve the value, that is the info value or the data value or the content here, and we can access the next pointer like this. We can construct a new node. We are constructing a new node like this. You can access, like you can retrieve, or you can access to the next pointer, like pointing to the next one. So you can do it, pointing to nothing in various languages, because ultimately the last node, all the nodes will be there. The last node will have a data and it will point to null. So what this null will be? In C it will be null. Java and C sharp it will be null, null small. In C++ previous version it will be 0, and new it will be null ptr. Symbolically it is represented by a fire, a null. So now for a linked list, we also require an object which links to the first object. How we are going to know about the first one? Because first one is pointing to the next one, but who is pointing on which or where you will get the address of the first one? For that you have to point to you have a special linking to the first object, first node actually. So the actual linked list class must store 2 pointers, that is the head and a tail. Optionally we can keep a count also, how many nodes are there. This will give you a count, and the next node of the last node is assigned to the null pointer. As I said, the last will always be pointing to the null, 5 will representing it, and with the different programming language we'll do what I have just shown. So head will be pointing to the first one, and the tail will be pointing to the last one, which is actually having the address null. So the constructor or the class structure would be something like this. You have a class, say list, we are making a template type, name type, you can have any type. So node of this type will be having head, tail and a count along with what we have seen. So we can have constructor, accessor and mutators in between. In this linked or contiguous, we have seen what we require, that in array we want contiguous memory. In linked we would not require a contiguous, but we will have an extra, along with the data we'll have to have an extra node which is pointing to always the next node. And there is another allocation which is called as index allocation. So in this index allocation, an array of pointers, possibly say null link to a sequence of allocated memory location. This is the index which is pointing to the first address or the initial address of this allocation. This is pointing to the next one. This is pointing to the next one. So now this index is showing that these three are the address or the memory locations we are interested in. This is used in C++ standard template library, and we'll see about this index location. For example, matrices, if this is a matrix, we can implement it using index allocation. How? See, for this 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, these are different rows. So this is first row, this is the second row. So we can have an index for the first row which is taking the values as 1, 2, 3 in the contiguous memory location, and for the second one also we can have 4, 5, 6. And I'm not saying this has to be contiguous, it can again be a linked list. And for this, if you want to retrieve it or to store it in the form of not row major but column, you can have 3 indexes or indices which are pointing to different rows which are placed like this in the memory. So row major and column major, the matrices can be implemented using index allocation as we have just seen, and most implementation of matrices or higher dimensional arrays, because matrices only not can be only this row and column, it can be in 3 dimension, 4 dimension, n dimension. So we use indices pointing into a single contiguous block of memory like this. How it is in C and Python we do it like this. If it is row major, we are placing the row values first. So 1, 2, 3 will be placed here, and the index will be 4, 5, 6 for this. So this index will be for first row, and this will be index for second row, but these are in contiguity. While in column major, if we want to place it like this, so we'll be having 3 index showing the column major order in the column 1, 4, 2, 5 followed by 3, 6. There are other allocation formats, and we'll look at some variation of or hybrids of this memory allocation, including the trees, the graphs, the DQ which is the linked arrays, and the inodes. A tree, the linked list can be used to store linearly ordered data also, So what if we have multiple next nodes? What we are going to do? So we have a rooted tree which is similar to a linked list but with multiple next pointers. Because if this is head A pointing to B, B pointing to C to null, this can be represented in the virtual form. A which is having 2 pointers to B and E, B will be having a pointer to C, E will be pointing to D. So it forms a hierarchical structure. So a tree is a variation on a linked list essentially. So each node points to an arbitrary number of subsequent nodes. As we have seen, the root is pointing to 2 nodes which are called the child, and this is useful for storing the hierarchical data. This is first hierarchy, second hierarchy, And we'll see that it is also useful for storing the sorted data or ordered data. So we'll restrict ourselves to the tree where each node points to at most two other nodes, that is the binary tree, of course. What about the graphs? Graphs. So as we have seen, the arrays and linked lists, these are linear data structures. Graphs and trees, they are non-linear. Suppose we have arbitrary relation between any two objects in a container. We are given n objects and there are n square minus n possible relationship. So we allow this symmetry, which will reduce to n square minus n by 2. Just consider this network. This is showing a graph. F is related to B, F is related to F, A is related to B, A is related to G. So we are showing the arbitrary relationship between two objects in a container. So how we are going to present it? That A is related to F. So let us see. A is related to F. A is related to B. So A is also related to B. A is related to G. So A is related to J. Okay. So this is how we place cross or one mark here. And we call this representation of a graph. This representation is the adjacency matrix. So there are two ways in which we can represent a graph, and which is nothing but the adjacency matrix and adjacency list. So these are two ways we can present a graph. The array of this is just an array. See, these are just array, nothing but this array. It is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 by 12 array, right? And this is a linked list formation of the graph which we introduced just now. So now A is, and this graph is having no arrow, so we call it as not directed but undirected graph. If the arrows would have been there, we will call it as the directed graph or a digraph. In this case, we can represent or we can reduce the space. There are a lot of space which are actually unused. These are all unused spaces. So we can reduce it. We allow arbitrary relation between any two objects in a container. We could use a hybrid, that is an array of linked list. So this is an array of linked list only. So this is an array, but each array is a linked list. This is a linked list. So now A is related to B, A is related to B. Now A is related to F, so we'll have F. A is related to J, J, and we have no other A relationship, so it will end by a phi. And likewise for others. Linked arrays. What about linked arrays? Other hybrids are linked list of arrays. Linked list of arrays. Something like that is used in C++ standard template library DQ container. For example, the alphabet could be stored either as an array of 26 entries like this, all these 26 entries, or we can have a linked list of arrays of 8 entries. So these are 8, and there will be an pointer to the next one from I to P. There will be a pointer to next one, that is Q to X, and YZ, and that will be final will be a phi, that is the null. So the hybrid data structure, Unix inode also is there, was used to store information about large files. So see, these are the first 12 entries that can reference the first 12 blocks 48 KIB. See, these are the addresses pointing to these 12 blocks. Now the next entry is a pointer to an array that stores the next 1024 blocks. Again, we have next storage. So this is pointing to another values or another storage values. So this store files up to 4 MIB or on a 32-bit computer. And the next entry again would be, this is Unix inode. The next entry has 12 of indirection of files up to 4 GB. Again, an indirection. So this is up to 4 terabyte. Then we come to the algorithm run times. That is the time it is going to take for algorithm to reach its completion. So once we have chosen a data structure to store both the objects and the relationship as we have just seen, we need to implement the queries or operation on this algorithm. That is, an abstract data type will be implemented as a class, and the data structure will be defined by the member variables, and the member function will implement the algorithms. So the question is how to determine the efficiency of the algorithm. If I say A is better than B, and being an engineer, I can't say it qualitatively that A is good or A is better than B. We have to talk in terms of some quantity. So this will be our efficiency, running efficiency time, algorithm run times. So we'll use this matrix to describe operation at the location within the structure. Say finding. we are provided a sorted array. So we have to find out the runtime to find if the value is here at the first position. The finding is good at any arbitrary location, This is also okay because array indexing will take you to that position. Then back, that is nth value here, the value is here. It may be good because order of 1 it will take the time. What about inserting? If you want to insert a value here, then you have to shift all these values one by one and you have to make a space, so that is quite bad. Arbitrary location, any location, even if you want to place a value here, these two locations or these two left and right hand side of the area has to be free, means you have to shift again, you have to make a space in contiguous memory. That will not be so easy, that is bad. And what about back? If you want to place a value at n, if the location is or where value is available, location is available, that is good. Otherwise it will be always bad because you don't have a space to place a last value, insert a last value. What about erasing? The explanation goes similar with the insertion. If you want to erase certain value, if you am erasing this will be free, so I have to shift these values or need to fill this place. That will be a bad. The running time or the runtime will be quite bad, and this goes with the erasing of in between value. But if you want to delete, if you want to just erase the last value, then it will be quite good because last value can always be removed without even touching all these values which are in front. So if the array is not sorted, only one operation changes here. That is, you want to find an arbitrary location. Previously, we thought about sorted array. But what about if the array is not sorted? The array is not sorted means it is not following any order. Then finding at arbitrary location would be quite bad because you don't know where it is. So you have to maybe sequentially search for findings. That will be quite bad. But for a single linked list where we have a head and tail pointer like this, we have a head and we have a tail, finding a value will be quite good because you can just in the linear time you can find a value. And in an arbitrary location it will be quite bad because you have to actually go through the value, because first value it is good. You'll just find the list head and you'll get the value. But if the list is large, long, then arbitrary location it will be bad. You don't know where it is. And if you want to find out the last value, because you already have this list tail which is pointing to the last value, this is good finding. Insertion is good because insert can be done easily in linked list. You just have to change the pointers. But for arbitrary location, the first location, it will be good. But for inserting in any other location, you have to change, all the indirections and the pointers. In the last, again, you know that list tail is there, so you can easily insert at this point and point the last value which is inserted to 5. Erasing the first value is good, but erasing at any arbitrary location, say any other location, because you have to erase it, you have to change the pointers. First, you have to reach that point. That is because going to that location is bad. So erasing that value means you have to reach to that location. And what about the last one, erasing? Again, you have to do the same stuff. You have to reach to that point. But if we have a pointer to the kth entry, we can insert or erase at that location quite easily. Means what I intend to say is that if we have a pointer to the kth entry, any kth entry, we can insert or erase at the location quite easily, because we know that we want to insert or erase at that particular point. So we don't have to, which is a bad arbitrary location finding. We have to find, and that is bad. So insertion and erase will be bad. But if we know where we have to insert or erase or delete, then there will be no problem because we always have a pointer pointing to it. So this requires a little bit of trick. You must modify the value stored in the kth node. So this is common cooperation. You can be asked this question in interviews. And for a doubly linked list means apart from the info or data, you'll have a pointer to the next one. This is the single linked list, but the doubly linked list will always have a pointer to the previous one also. So in this case, again, the finding at arbitrary location will be bad, but insertion and erasure will be good. Why? Because every pointer is pointing to the previous and the next one. So you'll always have, when you are deleting it, you will have to have the address of the previous one which you have. So this is good. All these will be good. Only the finding will be bad. So we'll see the asymptotic analysis. We'll provide the mathematics that will allow us to measure the efficiency of algorithm. And it will also allow us to measure the memory requirements of both the data structure in any additional memory required by the algorithms. And we'll also discuss the asymptotic and algorithm analysis. All these will be covered in the later sessions. So we have introduced today the concept of data structures. We discussed contiguous, linked, and indexed. We looked at the arrays and linked list, and we considered trees, two-dimensional arrays, and hybrid data structure. And we considered the runtime of the algorithm required for various queries and operation on a specific data structure, that is arrays and linked list. So thank you so much. This is all for today. Take care.